Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Living Better with Joe and Kat. This is episode number 14 of the podcast, and today we're going to be talking about how we've been keeping busy during these rough times. How's it going, Kat and Joe?
Going great.
I am living the dream, man. So, today we just wanted to get together with everybody, and we wanted to talk about what we've been doing to keep busy during these rough times. I know that, everybody has probably experienced a shift in what they normally do because of the way the world is now, and we thought it'd be kind of fun just to talk about what we've been doing because we've been up to a lot of stuff. So Joey, let's start off with you. What have you been up to?
Staying in quarantine. No. Well, that too. Stephen and I have been doing building an outdoor garden. So we have put a lot of thought and labor into it and figured out what we wanted to do, how we wanted to do it, and the job's almost completed. We got a little bit more stuff to do. Running some chicken wire along the bottom of our structure.
Keep them rabbits out.
Well,
Keep them rabbits
for
out.
people listening, describe them what it looks like. Kind of describe what we've done because people are listening to this as well.
We've taken treated 4x4s, and let's see, we have 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of them around the perimeter. I would say,
which was the old footprint of our old greenhouse that's about, 20 by 30?
Yeah, about 20 by 30.
Something like that, yeah.
And then we've taken chicken wire, and ran around the bottom and the top of it. The height of the outside garden is about 10 feet, and we made it that way for a reason so the deer didn't get in and eat our vegetables.
So you have walls of chicken wire about 8 to 10 feet tall.
Yeah, thereabouts. Yeah, if a deer jumps over it, I'm done. So I don't think they'll challenge it, though, hopefully.
Yeah, that was the biggest part for us is keeping the deer out because every year we try to grow something outside, the deer definitely get it. And we've done the greenhouse in previous years, and that's been good for vegetables, but we've found that it gets a little bit too humid inside the greenhouse for all the vegetables.
For some of them.
Yeah.
And so, we tried adding in fans last year, and that kind of helped when you say keeping the ventilation in there.
Yeah.
But we still had some rotted squash last year. Wasn't that right?
The squash just doesn't bloom inside of a humid greenhouse.
Yeah,
and yet,
not as well.
When we put it out, like in our flower gardens, unfortunately, our dogs like to go in and take care of their business, and you never know if they're going to be taking care of their business on top of your vegetables.
That's true.
So that's yet another reason why we're doing a chicken wire protected garden.
Yeah, and it really looks nice. I think it adds value to the property, to be honest, because the greenhouses we had previously worked really well. And for those that are listening, me and Joe built our greenhouses on a budget because we have 2 back there. And I think they were both under $500 at the end of the day, and we used PVC pipe and made hoop houses and then put plastic over them.
And that worked pretty well.
It worked well, but it didn't look super nice. I mean, it kind of looked okay, but it kind of looked a little trashy.
They look much better.
They
look much better with the plastic stretched on them. During the winter time, they look like little bony skeletons in the yard with crap growing up in them, and it's not pretty.
But with this, it looks really nice, whether it's winter or summer, and you have a nice garden to look at. And we were talking about doing some other things back there eventually, too. Yeah,
well, I was watching the Homesteading Family. I just was clicking through YouTube myself, and I came across how to water glass your eggs.
What's water glassing?
Yeah,
well, I didn't know. And so what it is where you take fresh chicken eggs that aren't the industrial chicken eggs that get washed before they go to sale at the store. These are homegrown eggs, so they have all the natural coating that comes from the hen onto the egg. Nature has it that way to help preserve the eggs. And so you get unwashed eggs, and you mix it with a mixture of it's called calcium hydroxide, or they call it hydrated lime, and it's used in building. So you can go to Lowe's and you can get like a 5-pound bag for $50, and you mix it to a ratio of 1 ounce of this hydrated lime to 1 quart of water. And you mix it up. It looks like it's milky white, and you take the eggs and you just put them in unwashed in this solution, and the lady that I was watching on the video, which, Stephen, will you add a link to that video for people if they want to watch it?
Yeah, we'll put it down in the YouTube description, and I'll also try to put it inside the podcast link. But if I can't put it there, just look up Homesteading Family.
It's Homesteading Family.
And the water glassing.
And then water glassing eggs. And she goes through it step by step. But you can store eggs. She does hers up to 1 year, but she says that she has neighbors and friends that it'll hold the eggs without refrigeration for up to 2 years. And she, in one of her videos, maybe it was a different one than the one he's going to put on, she's cracking open a water glassed egg side by side with a fresh egg, and there's very little difference.
It's still yellow inside and white.
The yolk still stands tall, and it's bright orange yellow because that's how homegrown eggs are.
Why wouldn't you wash the egg? Because if you dip it in the...
Okay, here's why. She explained it. Is because when an egg comes out of a hen, it gets a coating of protection on it to keep bacteria out of the porous shell getting to the baby chick. We don't let baby chicks develop.
Right.
But anyway, for eggs. So what you want that coating that the hen puts on the egg.
But does the coating come off when you stick it in the lime?
And can you take the coating off and then put it in the lime and have the same...
You don't want the lime penetrating into the egg.
Oh, okay.
That's why you want...
Leave the coating on there.
You want unwashed eggs.
Okay.
And then you don't eat the shell, so it doesn't matter.
Right.
You know what I would be interested in, especially if we end up doing this, is just trying a normal egg from the store versus
We've done that before.
Versus one of these water glass eggs. I'd be curious to try the taste between them and see what's the difference. But I don't want to just go and get one of the farmed eggs from the store. I want to get one of the free range eggs and try those against our free range chicken if we end up doing chicken.
Well, Joey and I have multiple times because when we do have friends that are raising chickens and have eggs and we're able to buy them, Joey and I have definitely done the side-by-side look and test because Joey grew up on homegrown eggs, and there's a huge difference. You've even done that.
So the side-by-side between the water glass, though, and non-water glass, I'm curious if putting it in there, what the taste difference is, because you can see it, but that's the next thing to try.
In one of her other videos, she did a side-by-side with a fresh chicken egg that came in from the hen house that day compared to one of her 1-year-old water glass eggs. She put them in bowls so that you could see that the egg white was just a little bit thinner, almost undetectable, but a little bit thinner. But the yolk still stood up tall and it was firm. And I mean, she would fry them up for her family. They would eat scrambled eggs and stuff.
I know that me being raised on a farm, that we had lots of chicken eggs, and they tasted very rich when you cooked them. The yolk was really dark orange. They just taste so good compared to what it would be if you got something out of the store.
I've always enjoyed.
That's always my preference.
I've always enjoyed having eggs, from our neighbor. He used to have chickens, and so we would get eggs from him, and you could definitely taste the difference. Yep. The only question is, after they've set in the water mixture with the lime after a year or so, does that taste different than one that hasn't? Because visually they look the same, but taste.
The lady that was doing the video, this is how she stores them for her family, and they taste great.
I think it's going to be a fun experiment for sure.
Well, so see, with the boys putting the chicken wire up around their garden instead of hog wire, it kind of inspired me to think, well, if we're doing that, why don't we do chickens too? Because then we have some protein to go with our vegetables.
I think we should still do that.
It's too late this year
to do it. A next year project,
because
for sure.
The chicks, they don't start laying till they're about 4 to 6 months old. Right. So we'll have to go get early spring chicks.
Yeah, but couldn't you get some matured hens or something?
They're like $30 a piece versus $5 a piece for a chick.
Yeah.
And it'll be exciting to try that out next year, and it'd be fun to make some videos on living better with Kat and Joe, especially if we try the water glassing.
Since we're transitioning over,
just so we can show people that do watch our channel a little bit of how we do things too.
Right.
We're going to become homesteaders.
And for the listeners, the boys are putting together a Man Monday video of them constructing this outdoor garden. So, and it's, obviously it takes time to do all this. So when it's all put together, we're going to put a video up on the Man Mondays of the boys building the outdoor garden. But then we could even do one on the chicken coops, what we've researched and learned on that.
Oh, definitely. That's going to be a project all on its own because, me and Joe will get out there and we'll build a chicken coop. and then getting the chickens, finding different varieties. Because when we were talking about the other,
I wonder. I need to research. Can you put ducks and chickens in the same place, or
That's
do
a
the
good
ducks
question.
get picked on?
I have a friend that lives out in Sun River.
Require different environments.
He has ducks and geese and chickens. He raises them all. It's very unique. So I'd have to ask him and see if he keeps them in a pen together or if there's some separation.
Well, if, like what they're saying, that, the world as we know it is going to be changed moving forward, and they're encouraging people to do their part to grow a garden, which, we've always tried to do gardens. But
we did that when we were growing up.
Yeah.
We always had a garden.
But, I dabbled with a little bit of canning. I think that canning is becoming a lost art. I used to help my grandmother can green beans, and I hated sitting... I didn't hate it because it was actually one of my fond memories of, all my mom, my grandma, and I would sit in a circle in the shade of the trees, and we'd have clothes baskets full of green beans that we'd sit there and snap. And, it was a chore for sure, but it was something that we did. And I did it a lot with just my grandma because my mom would have to work on a lot of those days. But I remember my grandma wouldn't let me up to the stove to help do the canning because she was protecting me, the child, from being burned.
Right.
But that's my memory of canning. And we did pickles, about 3 or 4 years ago.
Oh, and they're so good.
And they were so delicious. So, I told Joey this year, grow lots of green beans because I want to dive into canning them and doing what we can to get our family off of the food supply.
Yeah. Well,
just
little bit anyway.
Well, a little bit. It won't be complete,
Yeah.
but what we can grow and what we can preserve takes some of the strain off of the world's food supply.
Well,
we're being more independent.
Something I want to look into. Every year we grow vegetables, it seems we have a lot of excess, and sometimes there's some waste, which... I'm not too happy about. We can't share
to families and stuff.
Yeah, and so what can we do to preserve some of the vegetables? And like you say, canning the green beans, and I would be interested,
tomatoes.
With the squash. Is there a way to save the squash?
I wonder if we could. We need to research what we can do to preserve it because I know you love squash, and if we could do a flash freeze or something,
even if we dehydrated it somehow. And then it was rehydrated squash. If anybody listening right now, especially on YouTube, drop in the comments below if you know anything about
squash.
Preserving
what we can
squash
do.
And stuff like that.
That would be interesting. I've never heard of preserving squash, but doesn't mean that you can't do it.
Yeah.
So.
But in the front yard for the first time this year, we're going to be putting bulb onions and potatoes in our old strawberry patch.
Yeah.
Again, the dogs walk through and do their business, so I've got to put up a little fence to keep the dogs out of it.
Yeah.
But if you're eating root vegetables, they're not, what they do on the surface probably won't affect. But I just want to keep the dogs off our plants.
Yeah. Well, dogs peeing on plants probably doesn't help them grow too well either. So
yeah. Well, in nature, things get you know taking business on. But anyhow,
very good.
So Joey, besides the garden, did you have anything else that you wanted to talk about? Like your seedlings?
Yeah, we started. Stephen and I started doing seedlings this year. We're doing all seed that we just bought down at Fred Meyer's. I forget what brand they are, but
are you going to cheat and go down and get plants that are about a foot tall?
I don't know.
If we have to, we will because we
to.
started a little bit late in the season.
We did the little planter trays, and that's worked out really good so far. 7 days later, we have probably 10 cucumber plants that are probably.
You have a lot of germination going on.
Yeah, and the whole gosh,
where are you doing
your?
Are you doing the seedlings inside under artificial light, or are you doing them in the little greenhouse?
The Stevens little area out here.
Oh, okay.
We have an indoor greenhouse.
It's indoors. Okay, so you've got them under lights then. Okay.
And I've made a little makeshift table where I can put a piece of plywood over Stevens, one of his tubs.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious because I haven't been out to investigate and look at what all you guys have got going on.
After the podcast is done, you'll have to come take a peek.
Maybe I can. Yeah. I've been up to my own other projects.
It worries me, though, because our cucumbers and squash are going to get really big really quick.
Those can go in the outdoor garden, though.
Not quite yet.
Not yet.
They're not, but I'm just saying,
everything, they're in baby pots right now.
Last year, I went down and bought some of the Bonnie plants from Home Depot.
Yeah.
And they were about that tall, 5-6 inches tall.
Yeah, I was going to say you can't put fingers up on a listening thing. They were 5 or 6 inches tall.
I'm doing air quotes here. So, But anyhow, the squash cucumber's taken off. Tomatoes are coming up. And the bell peppers, we have nothing in the 6 containers that I have. So we'll give it a little bit more time. But that plant may be a plant that I have to go down to Home Depot and buy, just like an assortment of.
I thought you two were kind of doing a side-by-side comparison, like the seedling tomatoes and then going down and getting a tomato plant that's been growing for a couple of months at an indoor nursery.
I mean, potentially we could. It just depends on when we get them out. A lot of we're getting some cold nights still. So if we have a cold snap come through, because we live up in the high desert for people that are listening, and in the mountain ranges, and so it gets pretty chilly at night, warm in the days. So it might be 75 or something outside in the day.
You could get your whole crop zapped.
You go plant them all, and then the next night they're down. But one of our neighbors down the street has actually started a farm, and I believe it's called Alker Farm?
Family Farm.
And it's a family co-op.
And I think what they're doing is they're growing to maybe go sell them down at the food markets, right?
No, I think what they did is they advertised to the neighbors on Nextdoor.
Oh, did you see that?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Where they
That's cool.
You could buy in the co-op. Like I think it was like $100 or $200 buy-in.
Really?
And that
Wow.
and then for like maybe 50 people, and then that helps him with paying himself
And no
to
food
manage
waste.
it. Well, it helps him to manage it. It pays for him to manage it, and it also buys the seeds and the fertilizers and pays for his water. So
Wow, that's
it's,
great.
So
It's
boy,
neighbors.
isn't he under pressure to
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
make all that food,
That
Well,
he
but-
looks
but-
like he knows what he's
But
doing
that's
though.
a risk
Yeah.
that you take, though, too, when you buy into a co-op, is that if there's a crop failure, or if, God forbid, he has a heart attack and he's not
Yeah.
tending it and nobody in
Yeah.
his family tends it, then it's lost. That's
Yeah, it's-
part of the risk of doing a co-op. But there's also great benefit, because then every week you go down and you pick up whatever's in bloom, whatever's harvested, whatever.
Yeah, how does he do that if you get 50 people involved?
If you're part of the co-op, then you would go. You would have an arranged time to go. He would make like a basket of whatever the harvest is for the
Right.
50 people,
Right.
and they go pick it up.
That's nice.
Well, it's interesting because I know your mom and Ed wanted to buy that property a long time ago.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, wow, to see him turn
I'm
it
glad
into,
to see him doing something so positive for the community with
Yeah.
it. Yeah, I really am. And, and he deserves to be paid for his work.
Sure
so,
he does.
you
Yeah.
we don't need to buy into it, though, because we got you guys and,
Yeah.
Yeah,
our
we have our own
experience
little
with farming.
supply.
Anyhow,
And we share our stuff for free with our friends and neighbors.
I bought $185 worth of seed when we went to Fred Meyer's.
Wow.
And I'm like,
I hope we get a lot of vegetables. Yeah.
I hope we do.
Well, that seed, you didn't use all of them up, so we'll be able to
No,
use that seed
no.
for the next couple
We
years.
would have to, go into your area, but we're going to turn that into a closed greenhouse where we got plastic on it. And
Yeah, so for those that are listening, we got rid of one greenhouse and replaced it with a built one with
A
the
built garden.
and then we kept one greenhouse up because we do want to have some protection for
some of the tender
the
things.
plants.
Yeah, the tomatoes need to be protected. There's some
Totally.
of the tender.
Yeah.
And my herbs. I want my
Yeah.
herbs to be inside because,
they'll be in the little
Well, and
greenhouse.
Yeah.
tomatoes and herbs, like those can all grow in pots, but then like our potatoes, we want those like in the ground so they can really spread out and really start growing. And the squash, just giving them
so
all
are
that
you wanting
ground
to
space.
put the potatoes and onions in the outdoor garden in the backyard, or you want to do them in the front yard, Steven? Joey?
Probably the front on the potatoes, because we do have me and Joe, we sat down and
You mapped
designed
out.
and made a map of where we're going to put everything. But regardlessly, we'll have a lot of those plants on the outdoors and the more sensitive ones on the inside.
I think
Right.
the only thing that's left that I didn't get was the little disc squash.
We
really
couldn't find
like
the seeds for
I
those. They
know.
look like white UFOs.
Yeah.
Oh,
I may have to go up to
I don't-
Ace Hardware and see.
I
know,
love those, Steven.
I don't
love 'em.
those and what are the butternut squash? Those
I
bigger
love-
ones.
Oh,
They're
butternuts.
they are so hard. Their skin's really thick on
But
them.
you bake them and,
And
scoop out the
I
goodies.
guess right. That's how you guys have always ate them. But I much honestly prefer getting the
You like sauteed
squash.
squash.
Yeah, they're soft. You can cut them up with a knife real easy. You don't have to de-seed them, and they cook up and always turn
Right.
delicious.
Well, is there anything else you guys wanted to talk about on the garden
Let's see if I have
and the
anything else
possibility of future chickens?
No, I think that was about it. We're just enjoying the beautiful spring weather that's coming ahead, and
Well, I got other stuff to talk
We're
about.
trying
Get to talking about it.
we're trying to keep busy during this
We are
this
keeping
time
busy.
of no work.
we
Well,
got
part of
lots
the-
of projects.
Part of
going
the
on.
reason, the yard is full of projects because spring is here. What I've been busy with, kind of, not completely busy, but, cleaning. I've been doing house cleaning and deep cleaning with a friend. She was impacted horribly with losing all of her work, and she asked if I had any work that I needed done, and because we keep everything kind of maintained, I did pay her to come over and help with cleaning the blinds and cleaning up the china hutch. Those things have never been, they don't get cleaned very often at all.
Very
I think
generous
the last
of you.
time you cleaned it, wasn't that when like Shauna was here or something?
No, the last time.
Yeah, I remember you guys
No,
took it apart and were washing the sink. I was younger though.
The last time I cleaned the china hutch was when we lived in the house in town.
Yeah.
When we moved out here, we just threw it back together because we had so much stuff going on moving, and that was 18 years ago. This china hutch has not been cleaned for a long time, and I bet most people that have them don't clean them very often.
And you could see where you guys took everything out.
Oh my gosh.
You could see the difference. It is sparkled after.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
Oh,
it
yeah.
was
We
just
just-
like old china.
It was like a furniture, in the room.
I think we just need to go we keep forgetting to get a light switch.
Well, that's on our to-do list.
Yeah.
But the reason I brought this up is to not only just maybe inspire people to, while you're, cooped up, or while things in life has slowed down and you're going stir crazy, take on a spring cleaning project, because I can tell you it made me feel so much better about having the blinds clean and the china hutch clean, and you and I clean the chandelier.
Yep.
And so everything in that area just looks really good. But more importantly than just doing things that make us feel good, I want to highlight that it's important that we help each other out. We're not rich, and we don't have a lot of extra money.
Oh, we are rich in the heart with our love for our families.
Yeah, we
That's
are.
that.
Yeah, we are.
We're very generous
Yeah.
with people when we
But,
can be.
but I just want to tell you guys that, we're by no means, we are not wealthy. I'm on disability for a job injury. And, Joey and Steven, they lost some work during this hard time.
I've lost all of my work except one client decided to keep me on because they really like me. And, it's only $150 a month I'm making versus what I was making before, but it's a change for now.
But my point to that is that we are not wealthy people.
Yeah, we're getting along like everyone else.
But yet, you know what? We're doing better than our friend. And to me, it was important that we help our friend, because she has that scared look in her eye like, I don't have food.
Yeah.
Well, we're lucky
And-
because we have a house over our head. And, you and Joe have been really good about keeping the fridge stocked, keeping the freezer stocked.
That's just a lifestyle for us.
Yeah, we just
understandably,
do that
but
anyway.
Our pantry is, I would say, larger than most people's because you guys like to have the food around when you need it.
And you know what?
But you know
How
what?
many people have we helped with that pantry?
It has helped
I was
so
getting
many.
ready to say when our friend, had difficulties.
It's not just that friend.
down
Think
the
back.
road.
Go on a checklist backwards.
Many friends.
Because we don't keep score.
No.
But there's been many people that we've had go shopping in
Yeah.
our pantry
Yeah.
because they just didn't have what it takes to go between paychecks.
Absolutely.
So in the spirit of generosity, you take care of yourself, but you also take care of yourself with the heart that if somebody needs help, you can help.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to highlight that, because in my heart, I really feel that that's important, and
agree.
that we have love for other people, not just ourselves, and taking care of ourselves. And then I have been busy with sewing masks. I sewed a big batch of them for our daughter that lives over in Eugene and mailed them over to her so she could donate them to the healthcare providers over in that area. I kept 2 for us so that we, could go to the store when we go shopping and have masks. But what I have noticed is that if I'm wearing them for any amount of time, I've got ear pain on the back of my ears. So I'm going to sew a couple of headbands and put buttons where you can button it behind your head and get the ear elastic off of your ears.
So what do you use? You still use the elastic strap?
For the
button.
two that we have, the style that has the loops for around the ears.
Right.
I'm going to make a couple of headbands with buttons so that those masks can be washed and used still, not wasted.
Right.
But I'm going to try a new mask design where I'm going to get like a 10-inch plate and trace out circles. And anybody can look online how to sew them, the round masks. But I want to do those and just do one elastic around the back of our head. So that way we don't have that pulling on our ears, because that hurts.
Yeah.
And, like we go out shopping for another friend that's end-stage COPD, and it ends up being we're out for a few hours because we're having to go to multiple stores to get medications and food for her. And just wearing the masks the last time we went for like 3 hours,
For sure.
my ears were hurting.
So
were
was
yours?
mine. Yeah,
Yeah. So we've
I
got.
wouldn't doubt
I'm going to come up with some new mask designs.
Well,
You
now
got
that
this. We have
they're
faith in you.
and a lot of this tongue twister there. A lot of the stores here in town are now requiring that you wear a mask regardlessly when you go in,
Yeah.
which is a good thing. And like Costco, they won't let you in Costco without a mask. So it'll be nice to have ones that are comfortable that we can also be wearing. And
Right.
not
Well, I
have that
think
issue.
what's really weird too is that
Pardon me.
we shop a lot down at Home Depot and we shop a lot at Lowe's, and it's weird because when you go to Home Depot, there's a guy at the door with a counter, and you have to sit out there for about 5 minutes.
You're standing in a line just to get in the store.
And
Yeah.
he's looking at the other door at the other end, going, "Okay, 2 went out, you can go in." But you go over to Lowe's, and it's like completely normal. It's
Oh.
like
So
They haven't
how
changed.
weird is
it's
that?
more convenient to go to Lowe's.
but more dangerous.
It's more dangerous because they don't have
Could
people
be.
wearing masks, and
Oh, that's everywhere.
that's going to be
Yeah,
a thing of the
that's
past. People are
everywhere.
going to have to
Well,
wear masks.
So yesterday, I went out. I took the slingshot and I did a flashback cruise. And there was the flashback cruise in our town. It's just a whole bunch of people that have old cars that like to meet up. And so I figured I'd go meet up with a few people down there. And Peter was going. So we took a cruise, and there's probably 60 cars and maybe 120 people or so that showed up. And when we got up to Edison Snow Park, everyone got out of their cars and we were just having a car meet, essentially. No one was wearing a mask out of all the people there. Actually, there was only one lady.
Were people standing farther apart, or were they getting up close to looking motors and all that stuff?
People were. It was like any other normal
There's going to
car
be
meet
some
I've been
old
to.
habits to break. Yeah.
It really is. And I don't know. It's interesting to see how this is
Yeah.
all played out for all of us between.
Well, I think until they
work
find
and-
a vaccine, quote, cure, that we're all going to have to practice the self-distancing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the new normal is coming to our country, and we're all going to have to adapt to the changes. And I look at places like China; they wear masks over there all year round, and it's not just because of smog and stuff like that. It's because it's
SARS.
in their community. Keeping yourself covered like that keeps other people from getting sick, and
Right.
with such a high population, it just kind of makes sense.
It's an
to do
act of
that.
love to wear a mask
So, and
for everybody else.
they've been
yeah.
doing that for years. So I think what's happening is the U.S. is just going to have to be picking up on that sort of trend
Right.
and doing that.
Yeah, I agree. Well,
New
and
world.
then another thing that we've done is we've got 2 out of the 3 scooters up and running, and we've been out just a little bit pooting around on our scooters.
Oh, geez.
And then, Stephen, why don't you share with everybody what you've done with your
Well,
riding?
Stephen
Well,
got a
you-
big scooter.
Yeah, you guys know from the last podcast we had, what was it? I think we did like last week or
Several
so.
weeks ago.
Yeah, well, no, it's kind of been that far. Shoot. But it has been a few that we've missed. But I bought a dirt bike, a WR 250R, which is an enduro to take out on the streets, and it's been a lot of fun. But
More importantly, it gets you on the trails.
it does, yeah, and it's fun to go out, and you guys can be on your scooters, and I can be on my little 250.
If we're
Meep,
riding in
meep.
town, our scooters are not going to go ride trails.
As I
No.
was driving that 250, it was really fun off-road, because going 40 to 50 on like a trail with trees around you is pretty sketchy as is, so that's good. But when I took it on the highway, it just maxed out at 65, 75, and it was kind of slow. So with coronavirus and having a slow bike and kind of being stressed out,
Stephen had a YOLO moment.
I was like, if I'm going to die of corona, it's probably not going to happen.
You
but
had YOLO.
I'm going to just go out and live my life. So I went and pulled $8,000 out of my savings account, and I went and bought a brand new Ninja 1000. But the good thing about this is the bike retails for $12,900, and I got it for $7,900. So I look at it as an investment vehicle, which a lot of people are probably shaking their heads listening to the podcast with that. But getting it for such a good deal, I'll be able to flip it here in a couple years for another $8,000 and get my money back. And
So you got to ride a new bike for free if you're able
Yeah,
to get your money back.
for a couple years.
Please don't crash it because I
No.
don't want you hurt.
No crashing. Watching Dan the fireman on YouTube. He's keeping me safe by giving me good
Dan the
tips.
fireman.
Yeah,
Check
good
'em out,
tips. Yeah.
So
Yeah, shout out to Dan.
So scooter rides, lots of fun. I want to get out, and it'd be fun to pack a lunch and go to the park and have a picnic, because we can do
Ride our
that with.
scooter, do a family scooter roll.
Because we could do that with social distancing.
Well-
Go down to the park and enjoy
Oh, we
each
have already
other.
rode down to the park, and it was nice. We just didn't have the picnic.
Exactly.
But something that Steven's done with his Ninja that, as a mom, it makes my heart happy, is that he is going out with groups of other people with the street bikes. So they're riding in a group. And it's great socialization.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword. I tell
I
you
know
that.
they
though.
push you to. They push
They
because
don't
they're-
push me too bad. They go
Well,
really.
you know your
They
limits.
go fast,
Yeah.
and I decide to hang out at the back of the pack because, with every group of riders, especially, you're going to have riders that are more advanced and riders that are less advanced. And this 1000, this is the first time I've had such a big bike like this. And when I mean big bike, not necessarily engine size, but more
Heavy.
weight. Wet, it's 520 pounds, and then you add my 200 pounds on there. That's a 700-pound bike going down the road.
7-pound crotch rocket.
So the riders up ahead on their little 300s can really go fast, and so I just let them go and have fun, and
Yeah.
I'll round
Well,
up the back in case anyone crashes.
It's like Dan the fireman said, ride to 80% of your skill because
Exactly.
you might need that 20% skill to
Yep.
get out of a bind.
I honestly, that was some of the best advice I had heard from him in his videos.
Yeah.
Is because you should always ride about 80% because you never know if you're going to have to dig that extra 20% on a corner because, if you don't have
You
it,
may hit a gravel.
You're going to crash.
Well,
So-
and if you ride to 101% of your potential, you've probably crashed.
Exactly. So the bike has been nice. I've had some socialization and, once again, people don't really follow that whole social distancing. I mean, I do. I'll keep away from people just a few feet. And somebody was trying to shake my hand at the car meet yesterday, and I was,
Nope.
giving
Yeah.
them the elbow.
I'll
and he-
offer you an elbow,
he
but I
gave
got to
me
step back.
Gave me a funny look for a second when I did that, but I think he understood. Just trying to
Yeah.
keep clean.
Right.
Some people like doing that. I don't know. It's
Yeah. So it's been nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, another little rabbit hole I got stuck into.
What's that?
Well, it's a rabbit hole I went down. I didn't get stuck in it. When Carrie was over and helping me clean up the china hutches, I ended up just at night because I can't sleep all the time because I used to work nights. I got what do you call it, Stephen? Sucked into the internet.
Oh yeah, you just start watching YouTube videos and don't go to
You
sleep.
disappear for hours. Anyway, it prompted me that I was looking up the values of some of the things that I have in the china hutch. Because when I bought the china hutch back in 2000, I spent a lot of money on it thinking that's going to be an heirloom piece of furniture for one of our kids in the future.
Yep.
But I didn't have anything to put in it. So 20 years ago, I went to Goodwill and I bought a set of china that, probably somebody's grandma died and they didn't know what to do with it and they just donated it. I picked it up for like $50 and it's a whole set of china and it's got this cool design on it. It's from Style House, I believe, and it's called Rhythm. It's the Rhythm pattern. I looked it up, and that china, it was worth $1,100.
Wow.
Wow.
The china set.
Crazy.
Do you guys
Who would
remember?
have thought that China would be
No
worth so
kidding.
much money?
Well, it's because it was made back in the 50s and 60s, and when we lived at the house where we first bought that china hutch, for 10 years we used that china as everyday plates.
Yep.
So
Who would have known it'd be worth
who
that
would have
much
known?
money-
Then
that
I was
much
looking
money?
at milk glass because my mom collected milk glass, and we did that something we did together. And I was looking and going, "Wow, I'm gonna tell you guys something that I had no idea had value is Corningware baked dishes. Those things are expensive, and
I wonder why.
I don't know, but just last week when we were making dinner for all of our friends during the work wood party,
Right.
I used the Corningware. I still use it.
Yeah, well,
I
you
have.
Put it in the oven, bake.
It's
bake with it,
microwavable.
microwave.
It's ovenable, and it's serving. You can do it. But anyway, the Game Boys. Joey and I were cleaning out the nightstands like last year, and we came across 2 Game Boys that we bought for the kids when we went to Hawaii when they were little, and it was just something to keep them entertained on the airplane. And probably about a dozen games cartridges that go in it. I looked it up and it's like those were like $700 a piece, and we just donated them to
Yeah.
the Goodwill with all the games.
Yep, that happens.
I still think that we have the little football game though.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think
I think we got rid of all of it. Or maybe all of it's together. I don't know.
Yeah.
We need to let go of stuff. Stuff
Yeah.
is stuff.
Stuff is stuff.
Well, and you said that
means
you
nothing during quarantine.
You said you looked up to see the value of the VHS tapes.
Oh yeah, the VHS tapes. We
'Cause
have
we
like
have
closets
tons
and
of
closets
those.
of those, and CDs, old music CDs. First generation iPods.
Yeah.
Do you have a first generation iPod, or did you get rid of it, Steven? Because I know you had one.
I believe it was in the shower room downstairs. It still might be down there.
I've got it in my bedroom.
Yeah.
Those are like $1,200.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's crazy how expensive a lot of this stuff is. because it's just stuff around, it's stuff under our
Antiques.
feet. Yeah. Well, I guess if you live long enough and you hang on to your crap,
Anything will become an
it'll
antique.
become an antique if it doesn't get destroyed or given away.
Right.
But yeah, my mom had Princess House crystal, and you can't really get the money back on Princess House crystal because there's a chance with it breaking during shipping, so they don't recommend that. But anyway, I was just like, well, it's nice to know we have a few little treasures, but to me, they're more sentimental. But it was just an interesting little rabbit hole during one of my nights of insomnia.
Ugh, I know the feeling.
And then I've been reading some books. Joey and I, we've been doing some counseling. We hit the 1 year mark for our own personal growth. And I was reading Beyond Boundaries by John Townsend. And I let one of my friends borrow it because it was so good. And I told her I need it back, though, because I want to reread it. It's just rich.
What's a part of it that really stuck with you?
Well, it tells you about how when you're growing as a character that, you have to have your own defining boundaries, because that's what makes you is, what you believe in, what's right or wrong, those kind of boundaries. Those are defining boundaries that make you. And then with certain people, or actually most people, you have to put out protective boundaries. And it defines how those are, how they work. It was just really good for putting structure to, it's like, I know to do this is right, but I don't know why. Or I can't put a word to it. Reading these kinds of self-help books can really put words to feelings and help you grow as a person.
So out of curiosity, do you wish you would have read these books earlier in your life?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Because
they've provided you that much
If they were
information.
available back then, of course. Yeah.
Actually, all of these books that we're reading are decades old.
Wow.
The other book that I'm reading, that I'm currently reading right now, is called Bradshaw on The Family, written by John Bradshaw. And it talks about how it's family dynamics and what creates family dynamics, and that everybody's a player, and that, when a family goes to counseling, because they have a problem child, that they really don't look at just the child as the problem child, that they look at the whole family, because it's a dance of dynamics.
A whole dynamic, yeah.
And that, unfortunately, fortunately or unfortunately, whatever kind of family you come from, those dynamics are handed on generation to generation, and it's so subconscious and subtle. But that's what that book talks about, and it talks, and I'm just getting into how to identify it. I've gotten through what a functional family is. Now I'm going to go. I'm starting to enter into the part of the book where it talks about identifying dysfunctional families, and if you're going to try and make conscious changes, what dysfunctional looks like, so that you can identify it, because you can't fix something if you don't identify it first. So what have you been reading, Joey?
Emotional intelligence.
What's that one about?
Oh, I can't. You guys caught me off guard because I don't have my book up here, or I would actually.
Well, give us a brief overview. Just
what have you been reading about?
What's something that's clicked with you?
Oh gosh, I don't even know where to start on that one.
How to read people?
No. I mean, if I had my book up here, I would be able to give you more insight.
Are you enjoying the book?
I'm enjoying the book. Page 47.
Are you going to reread it
session,
for retention?
Probably.
Yeah, that would be good.
But I highlight a lot of things, and then I write comments, and they've got some little quizzes in there that you can take to find out where you're at.
Does it talk about empathy for others?
Of course.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to.
Yeah.
I don't mean to lead you, but
you're trying to bring it out of me, and I get it. But it's just easier to have my book up here where everything is highlighted, and I know what I'm talking about instead of.
I think it talks more
manual.
about empathy for others.
Yeah, and the next chapter that I'm going through is how to handle stress.
Have you read the book he's reading?
I have not read the book he's reading.
I see.
I went, when I was in a radiology conference, there was a talk about emotional intelligence and how to read other people and to see what their needs are, but also to have empathy for others. And that's what I'm remembering. That's how to be mindful. That's the things I'm remembering from the conference talk that I heard years ago. But it was highly recommended that we get the book. That's why I got the book, and Joey's reading the book now.
And it's really kind of cool because the things that hit me, I can highlight and go, oh, that really pertains to me, and why it pertains to me, and then that way I can go over the chapter with my counselor when I talk to her.
Right.
It's helpful.
And for readers that don't know us or getting to know us, Joey and I both came from what I would consider pretty rigid, dysfunctional families, and we've really tried our best to break some of those chains and bonds. And like I said, there's just things that happen that you can't put words to, but this is all for personal growth. This is all to, try and maximize being the best type of person that we want to be.
And who doesn't want to grow?
Our family, too. You guys definitely have done things different than your parents from hearing stories of your childhood. And, I'm thankful that we're not in such a rigid household. Even as a millennial, I know I'm a little bit soft in that area, but it's much better. I feel like it's created a healthier relationship between your children, me, and like you guys, just with the way you've raised. I can come to you guys and be open about this, that, or the other, or this is where I want to go. Can you give me advice? I'm willing to come to you guys instead of
because we're
being scared that I'm
going to
get shut down.
We just wanted to give you guys better than what we had it. So
right, but what I think what Stephen was trying to say is that we set a tone in our house, a culture in our house that we were approachable.
And fortunately, coming from a broken home, you guys have both had struggles, in your own lives with, living together. And for me, I feel like a lot of those struggles won't happen to me because fortunately you guys have done it different.
You're learning some lessons by watching us.
Yeah. That, and you guys have given us a good household to grow and get ahead of things. So
well, I read something last night that said that we are truly stronger when we can expose our weaknesses.
Totally.
That, when you hide and what I took away from that is that when you hide in shame, when you hide in darkness, there's no opportunity to grow. And so it's really when we can identify our own weaknesses and that we can start to develop the character that makes those weaknesses stronger. Yeah. And to not hide in shame. Shame is just something that's so destructive. And a small amount of shame is good because it helps you, conform to social norms and things that would be considered normal in a culture or in a society or in your home group. There needs to be, some of your own self-talk that says, oh, I shouldn't do this because I impact another person.
Well, speaking about shame, and this is slightly off topic, but with the coronavirus, with people not wearing masks, I'm wondering if that social shaming is going to become more prevalent because, people are going to be like, why aren't you wearing your mask? And
we are definitely
that's going to teach people to put them on, hopefully.
Yeah, we are definitely going to be having some cultural shifts. The way that we're going, our normal will never be the same. It's going to be a new normal.
And I think everything's going to change, and with families too. This economically has changed a lot of families and how they operate and how they're going to run, and that always plays into emotions as well, because when things aren't too good economically, it can really change a dynamic in a household. And, maybe that was part of your guys' problems, your family being so rigid as children, is maybe financial troubles gotten in the mix of that and can cause some of those troubles.
Yeah, Joey
and
I did both grow up pretty poor. There in my house there was times of richness, but with money mismanagement, there was more times without than with. Mm-hmm. And it can play into the family dynamic in its own ways. I think that's why it's it's just so important and bred into me to have security. That's why it's I want to know how to have chickens, and I want to know how to have, because food is security to me.
How to be independent.
For me, I grew up on a farm, so we didn't go to the store much. If Mom went to the store, it was to get bread, milk.
It's because you had no money.
The necessities. Yeah. Well, no, Mom worked. Dad worked. Dad worked at Air Exchangers in Catoosa.
Okay,
Mom worked at a drive-in.
I'm going to ask you a question. Would you say that you had everything you wanted as a child, or did you grow up without?
Everything you wanted or everything you needed?
Everything, yeah, that's a better way of putting it.
You had everything you needed.
Everything that I needed, yeah. We had chickens, so we had eggs. And we learned how to get the meat.
But your parents had a farm and a garden.
Yeah.
because they didn't have the money to go buy a house in town, and
True. Absolutely.
your dad wasn't making the kind of income to support people living in town.
Well, he was supporting 5 kids. I mean, holy cow.
Exactly.
You know?
Hats off to him.
He worked his butt off, I'm sure, to be able to make that happen. But fortunately, we grew up on a farm, and we were able to have our eggs, our meat, our fish, because we had a big pond to fish in. So
Right.
It worked out. We had blackberries that I would pick, and so.
Well, the things that have helped shape and mold us as individuals are things that obviously help shape and mold our children, because we're all affected by where we come from.
Right.
Well, and you guys have raised us, like we were just talking about, completely different from that, and it makes a world of difference. You know.
I think because the pendulum swung the other way. Joey and I, we focused. My focus was I want a professional career, and Joey wanted to own a business. He didn't want. He wanted to be his own boss.
Well, and that's because I worked for your dad for so many years making chairs.
And you've seen the benefit of working for yourself.
Yeah, it just seemed to be a better way to go.
Well, fortunately for me too, that's another part of the pendulum swinging the other direction, is with you working your own business. At first, I was not too interested in doing that sort of thing because I wanted to go explore and go work other jobs and see what my passions were in life. But after working for the man and working for somebody else, it sucks.
You see value in being self-employed, right?
It
you
is.
Want to definitely be self-employed.
Getting treated bad, having scheduling problems, just so many little hiccups.
Low pay.
And low pay. And, I oftentimes ask myself, why doesn't everybody go and start their own business? But not everybody has a father that has their own business to teach them. And also, not everyone has the motivation to run it. Because, to be honest,
you have to be self-disciplined.
When I stepped up from, doing a job, at a call center, I was told what to do. I had, an outline of what I was doing. And I just followed that, did that, and I would get paid. But now, running the business with my father, and we're trying to grow it and expand, it has really shown me that there's a lot of things I have to do without being told to do in order to make the business successful.
But don't you find that it's a great creative outlet for you? Because you like to build things.
Well, I mean, I can...
And you built the website. If you guys want to see something really cool, go to bendqualitymaintenance.com and check out the website Stephen made. And he did that by self-learning.
Yep, it's definitely an amateur website, but it is it has brought good business to us. It gives clients the opportunity to see what sort of work we do, what our prices are, and also a place to make an appointment. And that alone has brought us much more work than just handing out flyers and doing some maybe basic advertising and marketing. So
that's what you bring to the table, is you bring the more modern twist to the business that your dad established.
And these are the things I'm learning.
Right, and your dad has the hard work ethics and some business suave of just how to interact with clients. But what you bring to the table is you bring the modern twist. And so that's why I'm really proud of both of you.
And that's what makes our family business successful in itself, is that everyone works together to make something happen.
And that's exactly what we've done.
In other families, you'll hear a lot of times, I'll never go into business with a family member. I'll never get into business with my son, daughter, whatever. And it's because it can really cause a lot of friction in some area, but it's up to, me and my father and mother, all of us to work together to make things go smoothly.
You know what I think the magic sauce is?
Tell me.
Is that everybody that comes to the table has the other person's interest
in mind.
Exactly. And you're going to put other people first before yourself, because you know that the other people sitting at the table are going to put you first before them.
Yep.
That really is how you build a cooperative partnership, whether it be a family thing, a client thing, an employee-employer thing. I think ideally you have to always put the benefit for other people and get the greed out. Our culture in our society is so corrupt and corroded with greed that, people that really understand the destruction of greed need to be the people that step up and try to help other people learn that, you've got to put other people in the equation. You can't just look at yourself.
And I'm going to say that goes with with working with another like business partner and owners. But at the same sort of token, I have an employee that works for me that I can kind of sense that, I pay him $15 an hour, which is pretty dang good for the sort of work we do.
Right. Well, and considering we're still building the business.
But I know he knows that I make more money than that, per hour. And he has to realize that I'm running the business. I'm building the website. I'm always doing this business stuff. It's not that
You're not just showing up to do the work.
Yeah, I'm not showing up for my 8-hour shift and working, going home and being off the rest of the time. I'm showing up doing my 8 hours plus getting home, working on the website, working on, invoices with Dad, doing all these sorts of things on the sideline. So, you got to be kind of paying yourself, pushing yourself ahead. But
I am going to pat your dad and I on the back because we have helped multiple people build businesses.
True that.
Over the 30 years we've been in Bend.
Yep.
We have shown a lot of people that were just unhappy and struggling. We have shown many people how to build a business, and most of them have taken off
and
with
that
it. The ones that didn't have self-discipline, that just thought maybe they were going to get an easy ticket, those are the ones that didn't do well. Yeah. But we've showed a lot of people.
That's a labor of love to do, because when you show people how to do a job in a way, especially if it's your line of work, you are in a way kind of taking away from yourself by giving to others, because, that person you just taught could go and say, oh, well, I'll do it for half the price and go and undercut your work potentially. Or let's say they go at the same price as you, they could just be getting clients that you wouldn't be able to get. Right. So it's good to help people out. And so it's finding that balance of the people helping yourself and helping others, which you guys have mastered.
This is what my philosophy has been, and it's a saying: give a man a fish, he eats for a day. Teach a man to fish, and he eats for the rest of his life. Yeah. Wouldn't you say, Joey, that's been where our heart has been?
And it's like Fuller and Lisa. He has really taken off in his business. He's done exceptionally well, and he's still doing it. And he's the same age as I am. So,
well, I'm not going to go through the list of names, but I'm going to say we've probably helped at least a dozen people start businesses, and probably 80% of them have viable businesses. Yeah. We helped quite a few people that just failed to launch as well, because they just wanted an easy answer.
And that's where it comes, that if you're going to run a business, you got to understand it's a 24-hour job.
We'll teach you to fish, but you got to go to the lake and put your line in the water.
Exactly. Yeah, but some people just want to be given fish, and that's honestly okay, because there's people that are going to work for us that just want fish, that don't want to go and fish for it themselves. True. And I'm more than happy to help provide people with some fish if I have extra fish to give.
We'll take them to the lake and help them throw their line. We'll take them to the lake,
exactly. Amen.
All right. Well, I think this has been a pretty fun little podcast, you guys, today.
Yeah. Well, we hope you guys enjoyed the longer format of podcasts. We know that we've missed a few, and we're sorry about that. Life has been really busy and tough for a lot of us. So
we're all going through a difficult time.
We're all going through it, and we're all going through it together.
No, I just want everybody to know, though, that we are with you. We have our struggles. And I think, too, by, sharing our weaknesses, I want to let other people know that, you're not alone. We're all in this together. Amen. And I just want to finish off with saying that you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and we're on YouTube under Living Better with Joe and Kat. And I want to tell all of you guys that we appreciate all of you, the listeners and the viewers. And we just want to create a world where we can live better with love, peace, and happiness.
Amen.
All right. Catch you guys next time.
Bye.
Thank you.